It's Fightful's The Hump with
Jimmy Van
and
Sean Ross Sapp.
Fightful.com. Yeah.
What's up, you guys? Welcome to Fightful. It's August 13th. I am Sean Ross Sapp. This is The Hump. We got Jimmy Van here. Jimmy, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Sean. This is one of the rare moments where I'm in the middle of a stock trade. So as I'm talking to you, I'm having to watch the ticker at the same time. Rarely happens, but it's happening right now.
I am very glad to have all my money out of the stock market. I am not built for that. I'll say this. I did very well. Over like 5 years of investing. I did very well. I think I had, if I can look at what my return was between that and the little bit of Bitcoin that I definitely sold way too early, but still.
What did you buy it for?
I'll tell you what I bought it for.
I'm curious.
Let's see.
I have some Bitcoin.
It was years and years ago. Well, I don't know if I have it. I don't know, but I made $2,000 off of it. I had an 18% yield on the Bitcoin years ago. And the stocks in general, I had a 15.49% realized gain.
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah, I did good. And that's just me not having any clue what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Did all right there.
I only trade options, and I'm not going to spend a shit ton of time explaining it to people, but they're very volatile. They can move quickly up or down. So you got to watch. And right now I'm up 16% and now just to let you know how volatile they are, sometimes you can be up 100% in 10 minutes, and sometimes you can be down 70% in 10 minutes. Like, it can happen that fast.
Get yourself some penny stocks, Jimmy.
So the reason I like these options, aside from the volatility, is the premium you pay is not a lot. So the ones I'm in for right now, it's people might think it's a lot. It's $77 for one contract without getting too deep on people. But I just have to keep an eye on it. 20%, Sean. That's what it's at.
Well, you know, we love getting deep on people here on The Hump, and we're here to talk with you guys. Get in your super chats, get in your humper chats. Please leave a thumbs up. If you don't know what humper chats are, because we are on podcast platforms everywhere, as well as Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, all that good stuff. You can send a super chat at youtube.com/Fightful. 200,000 plus subscribers strong. You can also send a humper chat over at HUMPER chats.com. Josh Morgan, this gentleman, always sends us a very generous super chat
without a comment. Yeah,
without a comment. And I just want to say thank you to this gentleman. People like him are a big reason why we are able to remain independent and, you know, aren't owned by a big media company or something like that. But we do have a couple of other super chats and humper chats. Swaron says, hey guys, not sure if it was talked about on The Hump when Unreal came out. Did you notice the Fightful Award cameo had a 2 to 3 second cameo in episode 3? Yes, in Chelsea Green's office, of which at this point, that household probably could have one for every room in the house because they've won 6 of those awards. Like, my God, they've won a ton of them. I always love seeing that. I keep a folder of like the pictures that people take with them. I will say this past years, it did run me personally into a little bit of trouble because there was some waste there because the companies wanted them in hand before doing the acceptance speeches, but they didn't tell me everybody specifically who did want one and who didn't want one. And we've run into it a couple times where people either just are like, man, we've got so many of them, or I've already got one, don't need another one type of thing.
Really? Okay.
Yes. We've started to put all the awards on one award now. That's what we've been doing for, like, if people win like 4 or 5 of them, like, you know, just got to keep our eye on that. But hey guys, if you all want to sponsor the Fightful Awards, those are open now. And those do very well. Those do very well for us. We're very, very happy with those. But I love those awards, man. Like, I've got a good idea for the summer of our 10th anniversary that I'm going to bring up to Jimmy. It's something that I don't think that people have done before. It'll it'll certainly cause online stir whenever they are announced, but I actually don't think it will. I don't think we'll have to produce physical ones for that. But
I hope not.
We have Bradley McCoy sending a humper chat saying WWE is making it hard to keep watching. The product is okay right now, not as good as a couple years ago, but wrestling is an escape. When I see Triple H next to the guy that is actively dismantling our country, it enrages me more. I have to be done. Well, that is something we are certainly going to tie into WWE, UFC, ESPN, Paramount, recent settlements, recent mergers. There is a lot to get into there. As Ricardo De Jesus says, recently canceled my Peacock sub. With an uncertain economy, I can't justify paying for a service price that just increased.
Wait till they go to the ESPN app, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah,
exactly. But buddy, are we going to be getting into the weeds on this one? No pun intended. Just for fun, what's your Mount Rushmore of NXT? Oh, damn.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would put Jesus. That's a tough one.
Asuka's got to be on there because of the undefeated streak, in my opinion.
Okay, I was thinking of which of the girls. I was thinking like Sasha Banks, Bailey, one of those two.
That's the thing. Like you could put Sasha, Bailey, Asuka all on that Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, all of them.
Like, yeah.
I'd
be like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Adam Cole probably on there as well.
Even
but then
KO.
You got Gargano.
Gargano's a good one. Yeah, Gargano.
Ciampa. Great.
Ciampa's a good one too.
So I am going to say Asuka, Bailey, Sasha, Adam Cole. But if you were to put Gargano or Ciampa on there, I wouldn't be upset.
I think I'd probably put Ciampa ahead of Cole. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Ciampa I'd probably put ahead of Cole.
Understandable.
But with the girls, I think you're right on. Like they really, helped to make NXT what it became there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Whew. That's a really good one. K775 says, based on his interview with TMZ, is it safe to say Vince isn't on great terms with WWE TKO? Well, it certainly seems like it. And why would they want to be on good terms with him? But Jimmy, what were your takeaways from that?
I saw the Hogan special, and can you blame WWE seriously? Like, so in case anybody didn't see it, Vince was not happy with two things. He wasn't happy with how Hulk Hogan was presented on the Netflix Raw premiere in January when he was brought out and he got booed. And he said that he was disappointed that he wasn't invited to the Hogan ceremony after he passed on Raw. But seriously, Sean, people can say what they want about Brock's how Brock associated with that case. Vince McMahon's at the freaking epicenter of that damn thing.
Yes,
he is charged or alleged to have participated in sex trafficking with John Laurinaitis and a bunch of others. How can you? And WWE is on the suit, I believe. I believe they're a defendant.
And for people that are like, well, there's no evidence. I mean, to the point to where John Laurinaitis was happy to get himself not involved in that lawsuit and turn over on Vince McMahon.
Yes. Yeah. There's no conceivable way if you're TKO that you're going to have Hunter standing next to Vince up there. There's just no conceivable way that they were going to let that happen.
Yeah.
So, I can understand that. Yeah. Put yourself in Vince's shoes, right? So Vince created that company. He took that company to what it became and he got pushed out. So if you're Vince, you're probably a little sour, but he did it to himself. So, it is what it is.
We have another humper chat from Derek. It says, hey, Sean, I saw a picture posted by Crossface Killa. That's my catch wrestling coach. He says, posted by Crossface Killa of you all training MMA. By chance, did you wrestle in a tournament in 2013, 2014? I'm from Elizabethtown, Kentucky, and everyone in that picture looks familiar.
You might know this person.
Derek, listen, buddy, there is no way. If you're from E-Town BJJ, there is no nice way I can put this. We absolutely ran a train on your entire team. It was dominant. It was so one-sided. It was beautiful. We did wrestle there. That was the last legit wrestling tournament that I did. Both of them, I had two shoulders that were really, really messed up. I was dealing with post-concussion syndrome. and everybody on our team won their divisions. It was such a phenomenal time. It was really, really good. I loved it. It was actually at like a karate school that just happened to have a grappling element of their tournament. And it was basically like 3 or 4 schools that were there. And our team did really well. I was very proud of that. It was one of the best moments in our school. There's a nice picture of it. So there's a little trophy back here that you guys, that broken trophy right there is the one I won at that tournament. And then we used it for a wrestling angle, Jimmy, where I cracked it over somebody's head. So that was a fun time. Derek, please message me. I would love to see how yourself and some of your team are doing. That was a very fun day. Was the
karate school called Cobra Kai Karate?
I don't know. It was called the EMAC tournament, the Elite Martial Arts Challenge or something. And they had a lot of stuff. Like you would go, they had a dozen different matted areas set up, and they would have, point stuff, then they would have age-based stuff, but then there was also a grappling tournament there too, which is what we cared about. Like I would have loved to have done like some of the sparring stuff, but we were there for the grappling tournament. It was a very, very good time. Very good time. Swaron says, I'll watch the episode tomorrow morning while going to work. Appreciate you, Sean and Jimmy. Thank you for your existence. Hope you have a great day and week. I hope you do as well. Thank you so much. It was great seeing you. And thank you for stopping by. This person says, dying. Yeah, I remember that tournament we kicked your ass. We did. Listen, no disrespect. No disrespect. We did. We whooped their asses. So here's what happened, Jimmy. We all won, and they have at the end, they have one that is, it's called the Absolute Division, and that is no weight classes, submission only. You don't go by points there. And everybody left. We're like, no, we don't want to do Absolute or anything like that, because the other teams just left after their tournaments concluded. And the guy running it was like, well, I mean, we still have this Absolute tournament. And we're like, no, we're good. And then he goes, well, the winner gets $200. And all of us ran over to the mats. and our coach beat the brakes off of us. Like we saw how less good than our coach that we actually were on that day. Cause like
your coach competed against you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
To get the $200.
Yes, absolutely. It was
because he's the one bullshit.
Well, not when he rented the van and bussed us there.
Okay, I guess that's not really fair, but all right, I guess.
Oh no, we were completely fine with it. We loved it. Our coach had like went and trained under Josh Barnett and Billy Robinson and people like that. And he was way bigger. Like he was 260, 270 pounds at that point. Like,
right.
But you see how different it is in training compared to competing. And you're like, oh, he's been giving us an awful lot throughout these practice sessions. And then you see like, oh, he pulls a double wrist lock or a heel hook or something like that very quickly. And you're like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's why he's the coach. That's why that happens. Huh. And somebody said it's $200, Jimmy. Yeah. Listen.
I guess I'm just looking at it from the principle of it. Like, of course, the trainer's probably going to beat the students. You know what I mean?
Of course, but that's why it's the Absolute Division. There are no experience levels. There are no any of that. Like in the actual tournaments, you have weight divisions and experience divisions, sometimes age divisions. Like they'll have what's called the Masters Division and all that. So like they do this. And man, there are some tournaments you go to and like 4 people show up, and that can be very frustrating because like if you put in any type of training, you're not trying to get a medal just by beating one person. Yeah, like that's not satisfying. And that was great because I mean there were like I want to say there were like 12 of us in that tournament. It was just our team. It was a lot of fun. It was a whole lot of fun. But let's talk about about this deal. Or not EA, ESPN, WWE, they nailed down their deal last week. Some more details have come into focus over the last week. And some of the wording that I'm taking is very, very intentional. Things like traditional cable services, meaning you have to have a cable hooked into your wall in order to get the ESPN service basically comped, so to speak. Otherwise, you're paying $29.99.
Yep.
So YouTube TV, Sling probably isn't going to be a part of that. Then UFC announces a monster $7.7 billion deal with Paramount. Whew, there's going to be a lot of this that affects pro wrestling, Jimmy. And I sent you some bullet points, and there's some important notes to this. Pay-per-view is effectively dead for UFC. Pay-per-view,
not according to Dana White, and that's something we'll get to. Yeah, there's a lot of miscommunication.
We will. He says it's still possible. It's still possible. Yeah. Jimmy, I am old enough to remember when I covered MMA and John Jones selling like 500,000 pay-per-views was a disappointment for the UFC.
Yep.
They would be jumping for joy if people were doing 500,000 pay-per-view buys today, and probably wouldn't be doing this deal.
I think McGregor Mayweather did like 2 million, I think.
Did insane. Dana White claims that this deal came together in 48 hours, which is a lie, an absolute lie, because Paramount just did a merger that had to get approved by the FCC.
Yeah.
Which conveniently happened after Paramount agreed to it was like $15 to $20 million settlement with
16.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
$16 million settlement with Donald Trump.
And the merger had been on hold.
Yes.
So the government had not approved it.
Dana White is buddies with.
Yeah.
TKO is clearly buddies with.
Yeah.
And the UFC is doing a show on CBS from the White House.
Yeah, tentatively. I don't know if it'll actually happen, but
Jimmy.
Yeah.
They're not doing a good job of hiding this. This is I'm not going crazy here.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
They're not doing a good job of masking this at all. Dana White claims that he will continue to do a pay-per-view here and there. Dana White claims that UFC fighter pay will somewhat be increased, but he specifically said, oh, well, performance bonuses will go up. And I'm like, who? Performance bonuses? They've been the same for 15 years. What?
Yeah. And they typically only give them to a handful of guys on a card.
Exactly. Increase the fighter pay generally.
Yeah, they have
because
to.
That's what you got sued for.
Yeah.
Just now.
I mean, Tom Espinal. So anybody that doesn't know UFC, Tom Espinal is one of their top heavyweights, but he's still not like the biggest name. I saw him do an interview with Ariel Helwani, and he said, I haven't even really been able to take advantage of pay-per-view points yet. And so now if they're going to do away with pay-per-view points, they have to raise the fighter pay. So UFC, again, for anyone not in the know, UFC is notorious for having probably the lowest revenue to pay fighter or fighter pay ratio of any major sport. And now that they're going to be getting 1.1 billion a year, 1.1 billion a year guaranteed, the fighters got to get their money. They have to get their money, man. I mean, you know what Ariel Helwani also claimed in the Logan Paul interview? I saw clips of it. They did agree to pay John Jones $30 million to fight Aspinall, UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jones pulled out. So that means that they are willing to spend the money if they think a fight is marquee, but they've never given anybody that kind of pay before.
They were also willing to let Francis Ngannou, who was very clearly like the next big pay-per-view draw, to walk out the door, which is, and that's honestly what gave me pause about TKO and WWE. I was like, what? How can you just let him walk? And then I was like, okay, well, what's going to go on with WWE now that they're doing this? So this deal is only in the US.
Yeah.
So listen, hey, people who want to get NordVPN.com/Fightful overseas can now get NordVPN.com/Fightful, change your virtual location to the US, and log into Paramount and get access to all of these PLEs. They're not pay-per-views anymore. They are PLEs. You're going to get access to a ton of other events. Go to NordVPN.com/Fightful, a 30-day money-back guarantee. 2-year subscription plus 4 extra months gets an incredible deal. If you're traveling to Canada for the upcoming All Out show, if you're traveling to the UK for Forbidden Door, you can listen to your favorites, watch your favorite shows abroad, watch football overseas. I'll tell you something, a trick that Denise actually told me. Her husband uses nordvpn.com/Fightful to change his virtual location to watch a variety of football games that are airing in particular local markets. All that available with nordvpn.com/Fightful, and it's available for all your devices. Protect yourself on that public Wi-Fi. Get the password manager, the file encryption tool. They got 24/7 tech support. nordvpn.com/Fightful.
I want to talk about the details of this deal, and then I want to talk about how I think it could impact AEW.
Sure.
And people might be like, what the hell does the UFC deal have to do with AEW? But there's definitely a clear line where I think it could impact them. So like you said, 7 years, 7.7 billion, all exclusive US rights. It's starting in 2026. This is where there's been some miscommunication publicly between Mark Shapiro, who is a DKO executive, and Dana White. So all the UFC events are going to stream on Paramount Plus. Select shows are also going to simulcast on CBS, free broadcast. Mark Shapiro went on CNBC, and he said that all numbered shows, meaning the events that used to be pay-per-view, he said that they will all simulcast on CBS. Then Dana White told CBS Sports that only 4 shows a year are going to be simulcast on CBS, and the rest will be on Paramount Plus. So they got to get their shit together on that one. But the key point here is that UFC is changing its business model in that they're eliminating pay-per-view. It's not really UFC's business model anymore, I guess. It was their distributors model with ESPN. But they're eliminating pay-per-view because the premium events are going to be available at no additional cost to Paramount Plus subscribers.
And let's be real. The reason they're doing this, one, because they got a big offer, and two, they have watered down their product to a level of which it makes more sense to do this than to bank on their own selling power. Like, that's the reality of the situation. Like, as somebody who covered MMA for a decade of my life full time, I have not watched a full pay-per-view since then. They have not done that much. They've got a couple of marketable stars. They've definitely got like DDP and Elia and Aspinall. Yeah. But like, I was talking to a WWE wrestler the other day, Jimmy, and they're like, when I hear about a UFC fighter crossing over into mainstream news, it's like a sexual assault or they're
John
talking
Jones
about
again,
or an arrest, or they're talking about Hitler or something like that. And like, John Jones was getting pretty wild for a while, but before, like back in the day, it was pretty much just like, well, Brock failed a drug test, Anderson failed a drug test. GSP wasn't doing crazy stuff like that. You know what I mean?
But when you think about the days of Ronda Rousey, when she was like this larger than life megastar, Conor McGregor was this larger than life megastar, Anderson Silva was a big star, GSP, even like Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell, there were like BJ Penn. There were so many names that became pretty big stars. Now they don't really have anybody. Like, there's really nobody that's. I know that they're trying to. What's the lady's name? Harrison? Is it Kayla
Harrison? She's great. Yeah.
So they're trying to turn her into like the next big star, and she's going to fight Amanda Nunes, right? Apparently. So they're trying to turn her into a big star, but they don't have anybody like they used to. And I fully agree with you. I think that Dana White and company just lost the hunger when they got guaranteed money, and pay-per-view buys don't really matter anymore. And how's that going to get any better now? It's not. I mean, they're getting more money, and there's no incentive for them to do any better than they're already doing. But I want to tie in the AEW component to this. So in 2027, AEW will be in the last year of their contract with Warner Brothers, right? Mm-hmm. There's an option for a 4th year, and I think it's Warner Brothers' option. So if Warner Brothers picks it up, then the contract's going to go until the end of 2028. Otherwise, it's up the end of 2027, right? Everything that happened this past week, not just with this UFC deal, but with the WWE ESPN deal, and then ESPN cuts the deal with Fox to bundle their apps together. All of that, I think, has muddied the water for AEW when it comes to negotiating with distributors in a couple of years, should they move on from Warner Brothers. Because look at it now. So ESPN's part of Disney. Disney owns ABC. They're not going to be an option for AEW, probably. UFC now with Paramount, which is CBS, probably not going to be an option for AEW. WWE still is the relationship with NBC Universal because of SmackDown. Probably not going to be an option for AEW. I don't know if the Fox deal is going to mean anything just because they're doing a bundle. So that doesn't necessarily mean they won't be an option for AEW, but it makes it less likely
And
than it was a week ago.
Look what else WWE is on. They're on Netflix. They're on Tubi. They're on A&E. They're on USA Network. They are on at least one of all of these. And usually WWE wants some exclusivity there as it relates to pro wrestling content. Like WWE wasn't happy when they were on Fox and MLW was going to get on Tubi.
Yes.
To the point to where they nixed the deal and had to do like a big settlement to Court Bauer in order to squash that. So it's interesting how this is going. Yeah. Interesting.
There's another component to this too. So I've seen several people, both journalists and executives with broadcast companies, talk about the importance of broadcast television, because as cable TV continues to erode, you're going to have streaming for people willing to pay for it, and you're going to have broadcast, which is still free television. And more and more content providers are looking to cut a deal with a distributor that has a broadcast connection, because they want to be able to maximize their exposure, because not everybody wants to pay for streaming, or not everybody can afford to pay for streaming. So they want to have a connection to broadcast to maximize their exposure. So WWE is already doing that. They're with NBC because of the NBC Universal deal for SmackDown, and they have specials on NBC for Saturday Night's Main Event. When the ESPN deal kicks in, that might open up ABC to them too. So they might do stuff with ABC, and they've talked about simulcasting PLEs on ABC. UFC now is going to simulcast stuff on CBS. Same thing, right? You're looking to maximize your exposure, and then maybe it'll translate to paid subscribers. The only one that's left is Fox in terms of broadcast. That's it. And so the question is going to become, are they going to be an option for AEW potentially when they're bundling now with ESPN?
I mean, as of right now, TKO is tied to everybody. Yes. Everybody from CW with NXT, with WWE right now on Peacock and USA, NBC. Like, there is a tie to all of those major broadcasters. Not to say that that was something that AEW was looking to do, but I'll tell you one good thing that AEW has done. They've gotten in with Prime and with Amazon to broadcast their pay-per-views, because that is going to be probably a player for them down the line.
I think so.
And somebody that they need to at least keep an eye on. So
I think when it comes down to it, I'm sorry to cut you off. I think when it comes down to it, AEW's options are going to be stay with Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers doesn't have broadcast distribution. So you got to remember that, but stay with Warner Brothers, Amazon, Apple. Those are the three. Yeah. And I don't know if there is anybody else of note for that.
I'll tell you what I will be really interested in, and I can't wait until somebody tries it. And WWE might even be the first person to try this too, but it'll be certainly non-exclusive. I almost guarantee WWE has some sort of advanced deal with Google, because they are one of the top content creators in the world. Like they've got a ton of that. That's where I think the library is going to go. I think it'll go on YouTube. But there are a whole lot of people, like if you were to just stream your show live on YouTube all the time, almost everybody has access to YouTube. Even with a TV, almost everybody has access to YouTube because you have an internet connection. And if you sell your ads direct, if you get your own department and you sell your ads direct, I wonder if that ever becomes an option for places, because I see tons of wrestling shows that air on YouTube. I just don't see a lot that will sell ads direct. And I feel like that is greatly underserved in that regard, especially with the way that digital is going. So Jimmy, if you go back, I don't remember the episode of the Hump of which we spoke about this, but when I talked about the upcoming UFC rights, I thought that there was going to be a good chance that a cable or network or something like that cannibalized the UFC pay-per-view industry, because it felt like WWE was right on time. They were very smart about what they did, cannibalizing their pay-per-view industry 11 years ago. And at the time, people said, terrible idea, not going to work. WWE was very smart about that, and I'll highlight why in a moment. But UFC was way behind it as well. But now they have been so far behind it, Jimmy, that now that WWE has done this for 10 years and is now going on ESPN, where it's going to cost $30 a month, people are like, wow, well, look at this one. This one's very fan-friendly, and this one isn't. Oh, man.
Yeah,
and also WWE has a relationship with
that,
WWE has a relationship with Twitter. They can control the conversation, including messing with AEW hashtags. Yes, they do have a relationship with Twitter. I don't think that's unintentional either. I think WWE also does want to control media elements of things. And also, if TKO has people on all of these big broadcast networks, which also have subsidiary news organizations, they have more of an opportunity to control elements of media as well. And I mean mainstream media, after they have closed off wrestling media. I don't think any of this is by accident, Jimmy. I think all of this is very intentional and calculated. I really do.
Yeah, it's possible. Like I said, I don't know if the facts that Fox is going to bundle with ESPN will be enough for Fox to not consider AEW.
Sure.
But it definitely doesn't help. I mean, obviously, they have some kind of a relationship with TKO, so it definitely doesn't help. You mentioned earlier about some of the, potential backroom dealings that happened with this whole deal, and it's interesting. And I just want to kind of highlight
to be clear, there is no chance this deal came together in 48 hours.
Right. Well,
zero chance.
There was an original deal, I believe, it was reported by CNBC. So I'll touch upon it. But this is just gives you an idea of kind of the backroom stuff that happens in real life and government involvement and all that kind of stuff. So you mentioned the Donald Trump settlement. So Paramount had to pay him $16 million. It was because of a 60 Minutes piece where they edited a Kamala Harris interview to make the Democrats look a certain way, allegedly. So they paid him $16 million. That happened on July 2nd is when that finished up. Paramount had been looking to close a merger with Skydance. And part of that merger saw $8 billion transfer hands from Skydance to Paramount. That merger was basically in limbo and was floating around because the government wouldn't approve it. Well, the government approved it on August 7th. So on August 7th, the deal closed. And that money changed hands. And this deal was announced 3 days later. 3 days after the merger closed is when this deal was announced. So I thought that was pretty interesting. There was also now, in terms of, like you talked about, Dana White is close to Donald Trump. So it almost kind of, it's going to make you question if there was a deal done there where I'll close this if you do this for them kind of thing. Like that's kind of how it looks. There's other aspects of this, though. So Paramount on July 31st, they did their Q2 earnings, second quarter earnings. On that earnings call, they talked about their intention to scale their direct-to-consumer streaming business. They also talked about their intention to grow certain businesses like live sports. And that leads to what you just said, Dana White claiming that the deal came together in 48 hours. So there was an original deal on the table. According to CNBC, Paramount was going to do a deal where they only got the fight night shows. That was it. So Paramount, UFC, yeah, yeah, but that was the original deal.
A single one in 5 years. Which
I did see the Rampage Slam on Saturday. I saw that.
That was great.
That was
fantastic.
Cool.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, and another thing that can tie into this, guys, a lot of those have because they've been doing them at the UFC Apex, which is a very lifeless scenario, lifeless situation. However, in relation to this deal, quite possibly, they announced that they are turning the UFC Apex into a 5,000 to 10,000 seat venue, which is good. And listen, long term, it's very smart for UFC to do this because they don't got to pay rent at any local Las Vegas, at the Palms or wherever the hell they've done those fight nights forever. They keep all of the ticketing revenue, and they can say, "Hey, WWE, you want to just do a residency here sometime?
NXT.
Well, you can
bring NXT there for sure.
You can do that as well, and they can customizably scale that. It is very smart for them to do that."
Yep. And so back to this whole, there was an original deal just for fight night. David Ellison, who's the new head of Paramount, he came out and said that if you look at sports rights that are coming up over the next couple of years, there's a real scarcity there in what's available. And so supposedly, according to CNBC, David Ellison made a all or nothing offer to UFC. So he was allegedly going to pull the deal that they had in place for fight night, and he made an all or nothing offer. And he just so happened to make an all or nothing offer for a dollar amount that I don't think anybody else was going to offer the UFC. ESPN was not going to offer them $7.7 billion over 7 years. Yeah. And so there's always going to be this conspiracy theory thing about, did they offer all this money because they wanted to get the merger closed? And it was kind of, tied in, but it is what it is, man. So that's where we're at. What are your thoughts in terms of, not just this deal and where things are going in terms of pay-per-view for the UFC, but in terms of AEW's options outside of Warner Brothers in a couple of years?
As things stand right now, their primary options are Amazon Prime, WBD. And I think, honestly, they'd be very happy to remain with WBD. I think there's a sense of pride there as well. Now, I saw the agent Nick LaPiccolo posting a thing where he believes that Paramount and WBD may try to merge as well.
Yes, I saw that.
And made some very good points, regardless of what the public thinks about him. He's well connected in that area. But I think that those are the primary options as of now, outside of, you know, whatever frees up between now and then. But I mean, AEW's deal is largely contingent on whether or not WBD picks up that 4th year option as well. And we are 8 months into a 3-year deal. I don't know when they have to exercise that option.
They'll know by mid-27. By mid-27.
There you go. But I mean, if like you look at the trajectory of AEW on WBD, I don't think a lot of people realize that they were effectively week to week in 2019. They did not have an actual deal until the start of 2020. And boy, is it good that they landed their deal when they did, because it was right before the pandemic. But that's when they got their long-term deal. And then they nailed down their last one last year. But AEW had always wanted to continue working with WBD. WBD seems keen on them. It's very, very cost-effective content for them, all things considered, and high return. It attracts an audience. I hear this a lot from people I talk to at Netflix, WBD. They say there's not a lot of content out there that you can add to your streamer that brings a completely new audience that doesn't watch a lot of other things. Wrestling's one of them. A lot of sports, like when they add sports packages, that's a big one. But there aren't like a lot of individual television shows that get added that can draw people in that capacity. So that's where I think that stands. Now, I got to say, WWE, and I've mentioned this a number of times, 2014, they were very, very smart about what they did, Jimmy, because a lot of people said, oh my God, they're cannibalizing the pay-per-view industry. Can't believe they're doing that. Well, what did they do? They took a bunch of stuff that people weren't paying for already, in addition to the pay-per-views. They're like, here's what we're going to do. Not only are we going to give you these $50 pay-per-views at $10, we're going to put our whole library that we have spent millions and millions of dollars acquiring here. And then what did they do? Later on, they licensed it to Peacock, and now they'll probably take that off Peacock, put it on their own vault, and accrue money and develop a fan base that way too, because that's just a very smart way to find history. They took NXT, which was airing on their website, Jimmy, and not only put it on the network, but made it an attraction for the network, then went and licensed it out to USA and then CW. Then they took their documentaries that they had been producing on their own dime for a very long time. Then they went to A&E and said, well, how about we license these to you? You're known for biographies, right? Like, why don't you just take some of the footage we already have? You can film some new stuff. I watched some of those recently, and like, I've got hundreds of them right over here. They take the best parts of what WWE filmed, then they add stuff to it. So WWE was very smart to take a bunch of stuff, add some buzz to them, and then relicense them out to various places. And then the past year or so, they're like, hey, we had this concept called Tough Enough. We're going to tweak it, call it LFG. We'll license that too. Then it's like, oh, we want a developmental for our developmental. We'll license that. They've done very well with that.
They have done very well, but you know what's interesting is that was a pivot, right? So licensing was a pivot. Do you remember when WWE started taking a lot of heat from shareholders because the network was not successful? Right? Like they had targeted 2 million US subscribers, which was ridiculous. And they weren't successful. And the revenue was kind of dropping. And Vince, if I remember right, made the co-presidents the scapegoats. Michelle Wilson and
Michelle Wilson, George Barrios.
Yeah, he made them the scapegoats, and they took the heat, even though it was Vince's idea, because Vince basically said, oh, I didn't want to include WrestleMania. And they talked me into including WrestleMania. So at the time, it wasn't successful. But then when they pivoted and licensed, now they're crushing it. I mean, it worked out really, really well for them. I'll be really curious in, say, 5 years' time where things are in terms of broadcast television, because that's the one thing that AEW is not going to have. And when you look again at WWE's got Saturday Night's Main Event, and UFC's got CBS, and WWE might have ABC with the ESPN deal, I think that's all intentional in order to, like I said, maximize exposure to people that don't want to pay for streaming. And AEW is not going to have that. So I'll be very curious if it matters. Like, is it going to make a difference? Is enough people going to migrate to streaming if that's where AEW ends up going long term, that it won't matter, that they'll have all the audience that they need? I'll be curious how it goes.
We got YouTube and we got super chats and Humper chats. Dante says, what's stopping Paramount from increasing their prices?
It's going to happen.
Buddy, they are gonna. A
gentleman spoke to Ariel Hawaiian. I'm sorry, I forget his name, David something, yesterday, and he's in the know when it comes to this stuff. He said, absolutely, Paramount Plus is going to increase the prices because they got to find a way to pay for this new deal. So it's going to happen.
Yep. We got, do the UFC and WWE deals put pressure on AEW for running pay-per-views and not having them on Max? So I was shocked that they announced that as a part of the deal when they did, because I had been told back then that the infrastructure was nowhere near ready for that. Now, here's what I expect to happen. Gosh, I don't even know how much HBO Max is right now. It's like $9.99 a month with ads and $16.99 a month without ads. I think it will be like if AEW pay-per-views are $40 now, I think they'll be like $20 to $23 on the app. It will be with the cost of Max deducted, is what I am expecting to see here. D-Lo says, "Do you celebrating the human on the big birthday today? Is this you? So is this your birthday, D-Lo?
If so, happy birthday.
If so, happy birthday." Says, do you think WWE Library will sell for huge streaming? These deals got me hopeful for TNA getting a deal. Also, Brewers kicking ass. Brewers haven't lost this month. It's insane. TNA, Carlos Silva claims he's closing in on a deal. I think it's a very good idea. They had CAA help negotiate and find a deal. Sometimes you just need a new set of eyes when you haven't had someone do that. I think they will get a deal. But I think WWE's library will go on YouTube. I think 100%. It will go to the individual vaults. Jimmy, I think this is a great way to cultivate an audience, create some buzz. I think that's a smart way to handle the library now. And people that I spoke to in WWE said, it was always the live content that drew people to our stuff. It wasn't,
That's just it. I mean, they had all the analytics from the network itself and from Peacock. The library was not significant in terms of eyeballs versus live content. So I agree with you. It's going to go on YouTube. I mean, it already is going on YouTube, but it'll continue to go on YouTube.
Chi-Town Spurs says, kind of wild. We live in a world where it would not shock me if WWE asked Trump to hurt AEW in some sort of fashion.
Not in those words, potentially. No, I don't think
I also don't think that Donald Trump could keep his mouth shut about being asked to do that either. And he would just kind of put it out there. But
I mean, he doesn't even know what AEW is. You know what I mean? So
I think he probably has an idea of what it is just because he definitely knows Shag Khan.
He didn't even know Triple H when he was standing next to him.
I'm not sure with Triple H. He knew Triple H,
when they were standing together, and I'm not political, I'm not picking sides, I'm Canadian.
Sure.
But when they were standing next to each other and he said, "Here's my friend Triple H," he was going like this.
And he was just looking for him.
But Hunter was standing 2 feet away from him. He was literally standing right next to him.
I think he's also senile, so there's that.
Well, he's getting older. Yeah, he's getting
to be fair, I would say any of these things that I said I think that he has known about, I think he has also forgotten about. So there's that. But, a good part of making sure that your memory is on point is making sure you get a great night's sleep. And helixsleep.com/Fightful is going to get you there. Head over there, check out all the great testimonials, and get our great deal. 20% off any purchase for a limited time using the code Fightful. Here's how it works. You go there, you take your sleep quiz, you get matched up with the mattress that's perfect for you. You can get a 100-night sleep trial, and if for some reason you don't like it, they'll come back and pick it up. It's that easy. The bed is delivered to you. You put it out there, it unrolls, and you are good to go. I've got 2 of these bad boys. I got one 5 years ago when the pandemic started, and then when I moved, I was like, I got to have another one. I got to have another one of these. Free shipping on all orders. They are assembled in Arizona here in the great United States. But when I was looking for a mattress, this is before they were even a sponsor, guys. I was like, I got to make sure that I get something good quality. And I found these incredible reviews from Forbes, from New York Times, from GQ, Good Housekeeping, Wired. It's a good time. 50,000 plus 5-star reviews at this point. They also have mattresses for kids. They have mattress toppers. They have ones for plus size sleepers, ones that cool you down. And they have flexible payment plans. Invest in your sleep. You're spending ideally a third of your life there. We have some super chats and humper chats. Do you see Kross returning to WWE in your not to be aggregated opinion? What time frame would you give? I cannot communicate this more directly. This is not a work. Let me just. This is not a work. He went on Ariel Helwani today and highlighted last week he did get an offer, but it wasn't like an official offer, and there was no offer for Scarlett. I think the more time that goes by, the less likely it is. But I think that, like, if they go to Raw on Monday and a bunch of people are chanting for Kross, which didn't happen in Canada this week, that's possible. I think that he's a phenomenal supporting player. And character. He's never been the top in-ring talent, but I think he is excellent as a supporting player. I think WWE needs some of those. I do.
Here's what's puzzling to me about it, and I want to get your feedback on this after I kind of explain this. And you and I talked about this off the air already, but this is what's puzzling to me.
Sure.
So for most of his main roster run, he was not a featured player, like you just said. Even when he led the Final Testament faction, they lost pretty much all the time. So he's never been a feature guy. Over the last year, he was hardly used at all. But then over the last couple of months, because he was really good at utilizing the internet, right? Just like Drew McIntyre before him. Over the last couple of months, because he was utilizing the internet and everything, he would pop up in a backstage segment, or he would work a main event taping and he'd get a reaction, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, word starts getting out that his contract is coming up, and credit to you, because you're probably the guy that broke it. So word gets out that his contract is coming up. Then based on the reactions that he's getting, he's in a program with Sami Zayn, one of the top baby faces in the company. Then he gets booked on 2 PLEs back-to-back, Night of Champions and SummerSlam. They release a t-shirt for him. They promote his book.
Well, I mean, they get a cut of the book, to be clear.
Oh, sure. But still, like they still did it. Paul Heyman goes on Ariel Helwani's podcast and likens his organic rise to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And then after all of that, they don't offer him a new contract. I can't think of the last time that there was a talent who wasn't being used, because he wasn't being used. Then when his deal's about to come up, or it becomes public that his deal's about to come up, suddenly they're using him. And they're putting him on PLEs, and they give him a t-shirt, but then they don't offer him a contract. Can you ever think of this happening? Like, what is your thought on the fact that they did this with him over the last couple of months, but then they just didn't offer him a contract? Strange.
I think, and I'll tell you what agents in the business were expecting. They expected him to get lowballed. That's what I think happened. They didn't offer Scarlett anything. That's very important to him. He passed up an AEW appearance years ago. It was when Big Bill showed up to face somebody back when he wasn't signed yet, because they didn't want Scarlett involved as well. That's very important to him. I think that he knows that right now he can get a lot of money for signings, both he and Scarlett. He can do some appearances and all that. And if WWE wants him, he can head back there. But like there was also, I think it was a point of pride, because he had told them 7 months ago or 8 months ago that he wanted to stay there.
Yeah.
And then like a week ago, they're like, hey, would you be interested in staying with WWE? And he's like, you know, I would be.
Yeah. But there's a cost associated with devoting television time to a talent, right?
But it's not that, but he doesn't, he takes up very little time.
No,
like
you're
2
right.
minutes a week.
You're right, but they did put him on Night of Champions and SummerSlam, and there's a lot of talent in the locker room, girls and guys that would have loved to be on. I mean, Julia talked about how I feel like if I don't get a spot on SummerSlam, however she put it, let myself down, however she put it. There are a lot of talent that would have loved that opportunity. Why would they give it to him unless the whole point was we just want to put more shine on Sammy? Aside
I
from
can
that,
tell
why
you
would they
that
do it?
he believes, from what I heard, that they were just like, this will cut his buzz. out from underneath him if he loses. But he did win one of those matches, so
Right, he
I don't
did.
know if
Yeah,
I
on
agree
Raw.
with that.
Yeah,
But
I just thought it
but
was
I
very
mean,
strange.
there were a lot of people in WWE that thought that promo he cut after Mania was a work. Like when he was going off about like them leaking his contract info, I was like, he's not that mad about that. Like,
Right.
that much I know, but
Right.
it's very
Is that the one
interesting.
is that when he was calling
He's-
AJ Allen and stuff like that?
Yes, and I mean he's
Yeah.
on Ariel Helwani right now talking about it. Don't change the channel, guys.
Right.
But he said that he thinks because of Seth Rollins' injury and the thing with R-Truth, people now don't know
Yeah.
what is a work and what is real.
Yeah.
I got to tell you guys, his situation is real. Could they work it eventually? Yes, but
Yeah.
RJ
Interesting.
Suburb says, do you think Naomi missed out on some sympathy this week, some heat for her return with fans skeptical after the Seth angle? When are we getting a Hey AEW review on Fightful? Well, we're probably not, maybe on In the Weeds, but I don't want to speculate on the Naomi thing too much. It's just there's word internally on what it could be. And she's booked for a podcast appearance this week, I believe, on I think maybe Stephanie's show, maybe. Maybe it'll be talked about there. And if so, cool. But
do you know if she
it's nothing that Naomi could have helped. She was at the show. She just wasn't cleared.
Do you know if she went to Raw, booked for a match, and then they pulled it?
It's what I was led to believe.
Okay.
It's what I was led to believe.
Interesting.
Do you feel Adam Copeland, Christian Cage versus FTR is a bigger draw than Brock Cena?
That's leading us to our next topic here.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about it. But I mean, I was of the belief they should have put Cope and Christian versus FTR on All In because I thought that could have drawn bigger than Brock Cena.
They're just saying because it might be on the same night potentially.
Draw in what way? Additional asses in seats, because about 95% of those asses were already going to be in seats. I do think that Christian and Copeland can actually draw additional asses that wouldn't have been in seats for AEW. WWE is probably going to fill up their venue regardless. So that's a tough thing to quantify.
So you remember, Sean, a couple of years ago, and we've talked about this now a few times on this podcast, but you remember a couple of years ago, WWE booked an NXT PLE head-to-head against an AEW show. And Tony Khan at the post-show media scrum blew a gasket about it. And I said on this podcast at that time, I said, if I'm WWE, I'm looking at the AEW calendar and I'm booking a show head-to-head against every AEW pay-per-view on the schedule.
Yeah.
And these days it's commonplace. That's exactly what WWE's doing. Normally they do it with NXT PLEs, but there are reports, and I'll ask you in a minute, we've heard about it. There are reports that on September 20th, which is the day of AEW All In Toronto, or All Out, sorry, in Toronto, WWE is planning a main roster PLE from Indianapolis, Indiana. And the rumor is that they're going to do John Cena against Brock Lesnar in the main event. What have you heard about them booking a show September 20? And what have you heard about the possibility of Cena Brock main event?
So Brock has been added to SmackDown dates, 2 of them leading up to that. So it is of my belief that they're going to do it. I think they are going to do Brock and Cena there. I hope Cena wins. First off, I think he should.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to do it. And I think they're very, very specific on why they're doing it. As Xavier Pup Gaming brings up, my only fear, TKO monopolizing the streaming industry that would limit AEW's growth, similar to WWE monopolizing the wrestling industry 10 years ago. Yeah, and I think, I think one, they want to hurt the drawing power of another show. And yeah, and I think John Cena has also made it very clear over the last week that he did not pick Brock Lesnar to come back.
Which is so strange, this whole thing. And he said it now in 2 interviews, Cena. So first he's told that guy on the street, and I forget how he put it, something like, they deal on my plan, I think is what he said to the guy on the street. And then he said to Justin Barrasso, straight up, I've never picked an opponent. And this is after Triple H said on the SummerSlam post show, John Cena has earned the right to call the shots regarding Brock Lesnar. So it's very strange. I mean, look, I've talked about it before and I'll talk about it again. This whole thing about WWE counter programming AEW, it is what it is. It's business. And a lot of people don't like it, especially wrestling fans, because they don't like to have to choose. And I get it, but it's business. And if anything, this just confirms again that WWE does perceive AEW as competition. I don't care what they say publicly. I don't care what Nick Khan says when he's asked by some financial analyst.
That's where I draw the issue, because they claim that it isn't. And then a lot of like the really aggressive fans is like minor leagues. And I'm like, well, Major League Baseball is not trying to counter program the Savannah Bananas. You know what I mean? Like, like it's very clear that WWE feels a certain type of way, and if they want to do it, they're free to do it. But we're also free to talk about it. And James says the last few times WWE has done this, TK brushed it off. He's been doing better at it, and AEW has been killing it.
I agree.
Exactly. Focus on what you're doing. Put out a better show than them. That's what I suggest.
Yep, they got to block out the noise and just kind of push forward. And the one thing that they need to do, which I think they've already been doing, is don't mention WWE on television a bunch of times. Don't take all these subtle shots at them a bunch of times. Just kind of push forward. And I agree that I think Tony Khan's done a better job. Like early on, he didn't handle it well. He was clearly rattled in these scrums, which I think attributed to WWE pushing farther ahead with it. Just block out the noise, keep pushing forward, and do your own thing. And that's it.
Thomas says, how come this Bad Blood show hasn't been announced yet? I think they want to give AEW as little amount of time to change any of their plans as humanly possible after AEW was willing to switch to an afternoon show for AEW All In. That's sincerely why I believe it's the case. Alex Fitzgerald says writing was on the Raw when fans were chanting, "We want Kross" after SummerSlam, and Triple H said, Triple H ignored the chants and said, "You want Brock? You got him." That was that was pretty ridiculous. It was very funny. It was a little funny though, but I understand why Kross was frustrated. Do refs, producers have talent employee deals since they work in the back on camera and take bumps? They usually have employee deals from what I understand. But they usually have more duties than that. Like some of the refs time things. Some of the refs worked in talent, like John Cone.
Ring crew.
Works in talent relations. Ring crew. A lot of stuff like that as well. Matt, I think it's Retro Gaming says, I'm at Louder Than Life that weekend, so I can't watch either. But I'll probably watch All Out on Prime later to support AEW. WWE is seriously on my nerves lately. It has gotten to a point to where it's undeniable. People that did try to deny it for a very long time, they cannot deny that this is a very intentional thing at this stage, Jimmy. Like, it's very clear, and it's okay. It's just,
look, it doesn't bother me at all because it's business.
Sure.
And like I said, I said 2 years ago that they should do this just because it's business and it is what it is. The thing for me as a wrestling fan, and you know me, Sean, I'm a lifelong WWE fan because I grew up in a town where WWE was all I could catch. So I grew up a WWE fan. I have found the product hard to watch. Like, I'll be the first to admit, I found the product hard to watch. I saw that Jeremy Lambert was joking around on Twitter prior to the Raw main event this week about please don't be another main event DQ, because it's been a main event DQ like 4 weeks in a row. And then it was another main event DQ. I feel like creatively the product has not been very good. And you can go as far back as Elimination Chamber again, when everybody's patting themselves on the back for that John Cena heel turn and everybody's saying, oh, this is going to be the greatest heel turn in the history of the business. Completely shit the bed. The WrestleMania main event, one of the worst in the history of WrestleMania.
I feel like WWE and other people have really thrown John Cena under the bus for his retirement run, with the exception of Cody Rhodes, who's worked his ass off.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's been a tough time. I would love, Cena is a loyal guy. And so when this thing is all said and done, I think he's going to do nothing but put WWE over. But I would love to ask John Cena, when you announced in December that you were going to retire, and then 6 months in, you have this heel turn that they basically forget about and pivot away from, like, how are you feeling kind of thing. But I think he's always going to be loyal to the company, but it hasn't been good, man. It just hasn't.
Shout out to our dude, Tim Traver, another monster super chat. Go check out his Diecast collective page on YouTube. Check him out on Twitter. He's a big Diecast car collector, does a lot of content there. He says, hi, Jimmy and SRS. Happy hump day. Hope everyone's doing okay. Did a video Sunday night. Street race went wrong. What does this mean?
He's talking about with like
what do you mean?
Does he mean his cars or does he mean himself?
Do you mean your? I am made of questions right now. Tim, what is going on?
So I just
Tim.
I just want to reiterate, because I think I said this on this podcast a little while ago. One of my wife's family members in Florida was filming himself racing bikes and crashed and died. Don't do that stuff.
Don't do that. Yeah.
I'm not saying Tim did it, because he could be talking about
he didn't do it. Well, he's alive.
Cars
so
or something.
That, but
yeah, but don't do
Just
that.
Mass says WWE product has been stagnated far too long for them to be doing the shit they've been doing outside the product. Generally not the boycott type. Just generally have to quit giving a shit about WWE lately. I mean, that's how you vote when WWE or AEW or any other company just find something else better.
Well, you know
WWE
what's interesting about this?
Let me read
Sean.
this one.
Okay.
WWE is bankrupt creatively as they are morally. Go ahead.
You and I talked about this a little while ago, but you and I talked to Sean off the air once, and I told him that I was becoming a little bit disinterested in wrestling as a fan because of where things were creatively. And you said to me, which is a good point, you said there's always at least one good thing going on, say in WWE, which you're right about, right? Like they've got Io who's kicking ass, and they're going to do Io and Asuka, and Rhea is like a megastar, and Braun Breaker's very interesting. And I think Penta, they're doing some interesting things with him. There are some elements about it that are cool, but then there's just so much other shit that's so repetitive. And, you know, like you said, the main event DQs and the Cena heel turn, and where the hell is R-Truth? R-Truth's back to being a clown again. You know what I'm saying? There's been so much that's been frustrating for me, but Dominic has also been a positive. I really like Dom. Dom has really crushed it, but it's been frustrating as a fan to watch the shows.
JM says, Sean and Jimmy, since it was reported WWE and Travis Scott had a falling out, is it possible WWE could replace Raw's theme music? They could, but they already paid for it. So they're gonna utilize that. Could WWE do Doink again effectively? All-time favorite.
Yeah, it's called El Grande Americano.
I don't think it's nearly as effective as Doink. I think that a lot of people underestimate how effective Doink was in '93.
Matt Bourne was
exactly
amazing.
how much WWE relied on it. Like, I remember Bruce Pritchard saying on his podcast, like, a lot of people laugh now, but you could have done Stone Cold Steve Austin versus like '93 Doink,
Matt Bourne,
and it would have worked.
Yeah,
Matt Bourne, yes.
Yep.
If it was the right person, I do think you could do Doink again effectively, because at one point that was a really, really great character.
I agree. Matt Bourne was excellent. And then once they did the turn, who was it? Ray Apollo became Doink as the babyface. And then now he had like Dink and Pink or whatever the heck. Like that's when things went to shit.
Yeah.
But Matt Bourne was amazing. He was an amazing Doink.
Meat Norma says there's a beef shortage in the U.S. I take full responsibility. I bought like 40 pounds of beef and meat at Costco last night.
My diet's
how
mostly
far
meat
off
now.
are we? How far are we to AEW announcing women's blood and guts or tag titles? Well, I mean, I kind of think they would almost need to do it at All Out if they did it. Like, I don't know what venues they have that are going to be big enough to run blood and guts for the women. So, yeah, that's an interesting one. But I would imagine pretty soon they will lean into it heavily. Amir says, thoughts on Vince McMahon burying WWE creative? I mean, a person in AEW I talked to said, yeah, he probably would have had somebody come out, run down Los Angeles, and then send Hogan out there after them, is what Vince would have done. And I was like, yeah, but Hogan couldn't walk at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
they talked about it on the thing last night, on the documentary. Yeah.
But Vince burying WWE creative is rich, because I covered many years of Vince's creative, and it was horrible. It was so bad. Even what we get today is better.
It's just sour grapes is what it is.
Tim clarifies and says it was a story with the diecast cars.
There you go. Better
Listen,
deal.
You created an incredible podcast moment for us, because I was fearful. Tim Traver. Please go check out the Diecast Collective. Our good friend Tim Traver. Tim, I will leave this up for tonight's show on AEW as well because of that donation. K775 says, should we expect call-up soon from NXT? I know you've been asking about the draft. Feels like Jordan, Ricky, amongst others. Well, with Ricky, I was always told that they sent him to NXT because they had all the Mania creative already planned. So there was no room to just bring him in and have him do nothing. And they wanted him involved in something. And NXT Creative is more flexible. Jordan's on a main roster deal already. So I think
and she's still in the big program in NXT too. So they still got to wrap that up.
Yeah. Ryan Sully says SRS Jimmy WWE draft happening this year. If so, when? I don't know if that is happening still. Who do I think is next from NXT that gets called up? Probably Jordan, probably Ricky and or Ethan Page. I think Wendy Chu should probably get called up and they could redo her sleepy gimmick. I think it would work well in the tag division or the main roster. And Jordan is probably somebody that gets called up as well. But yeah, I think so. I haven't heard about the draft.
Because Oba's somebody that I think will crush it on the main roster.
Oba would crush it immediately. I think they need to have him up there and immediately establish him as the top guy and make no question about it.
Yeah. Maybe the Rumble.
Jimmy. And again, I'm trying to find out about the draft. But Jimmy, what do you got as we wrap up?
That's it, man. Not much else. I don't even have anything else to talk about, bud.
We'll wrap up right here. There's space in the TV wrestling ecosystem for side characters like Kross to advance storytelling through gossip, shit-stirring, flirting, and detective work. Two of my favorite characters that they never utilized, Sean O'Hare's Devil's Advocate and Just Joe. I thought that Karrion Kross was a wonderful marriage of those two. One day I'll do one on some of the pitches that I have made that have actually been used on TV, but that was kind of one of them a long time ago that I thought that those two characters would have worked really well. But I agree, Andrew. And guys, we're going to cut off the super chats here. I've got to run. It says WWE TKO showing who they support in politics hurt them in the long run, given who's in the White House right now. Vince usually stayed politically neutral, Jimmy.
Yeah. So here's my opinion. This is my opinion. I don't think that WWE's intention was to show political allegiance to one.
Oh, buddy,
party.
Come on.
I don't think so.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, but you got to remember, so Hunter.
You got to be kidding me.
No, listen, Hunter, I understand TKO and Dana White for sure, but
he's at the White House.
Yeah, but he's at the White House because he was, I don't know what it is that he was assigned to do, but he's assigned to do something for the president. Like Hunter was assigned to do something for the president. That's why he was there.
Come on. There's no way. It's not an accident anymore.
I mean, if their intention is to kind of, for WWE and for Triple H, I'm not talking TKO. If the intention no, but the reason I'm saying that is, like you said, they were always nonpartisan. Like who did Barack run against one year and they showed Barack and the other guy?
Yeah, but come on, like, listen, you are, I mean, I have never seen a unanimous in our chat. Like, this is, come on, man.
I just
they know what they're doing.
Well,
everything they do is calculated.
If that's the case from Triple H's perspective, then it's clearly a mistake. If that's it from Triple H's perspective, it's a mistake. I've talked so many times on this podcast about politics and religion. I don't like to talk about them because you risk dividing your audience. And Dana White's already gone down that road. But if that's the case with Hunter and choosing the Trump and Republican Party, I don't agree with it, but it is what it is.
Jimmy, I find that incredibly naive. If
anything, I'm giving Hunter too much credit, I guess.
You are. They absolutely know what they're doing there. Guys, on that note, I'm going to hop off here and forget about this. Until next time, we're out.